So somebody asked me to do a video explaining who I am and what my credentials are and stuff like that. And guys, I don't really have any credentials. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist. I'm not military. I don't have a medical background. I'm just a pretty average working class American who's sitting at home for a year watching this obscenity of aggression against an emergent democracy by an authoritarian, genocidal lunatic, said, I think I could be helpful if I went over there. And so I came to Kyiv, and I've been trying to be helpful since I've been here. I'll tell you honestly, I have not been very helpful to the Ukrainian people. I have gotten much more from them than I have been able to give back to them. And so one of the things I thought maybe I could do was I could just make these videos and tell people back home what's really going on here. Anybody who thinks that the Ukrainians are Nazis has never spent a day in Kyiv. You couldn't spend a day in this city and think that it's run by Nazis or that there's a Nazi agenda here. This is nonsense of the first order. Which is not to say that there isn't a far-right element in this country. There's a far-right element in the U.S. We got more Nazis on parade in Miami these days than there are here in Ukraine. I guarantee it. Which is a problem all in and of itself. I'm an American. I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. When I decided to come over here, I stopped in Dublin, Ireland to see some friends from college. I went to a little Jesuit university in Scranton, and I got degrees in English and philosophy, which makes me pretty useless in the world, in a capitalist economy. But it does encourage one to seek after something as close to the truth as you can get. And as I make these videos, I try to do just that. Try to get to something as close to the truth as we can get. And with the fog of war, there are two military guys. General Ben Hodges from the United States, who is brilliant beyond words. He wrote a book called Future War, which I should do a little video review of. It's a good book. And there's another fellow, a British fellow by the name of Major General Chip Chapman. And if you want the military perspective on this war, those gentlemen are the ones to get it from. They're certainly who I pay attention to. I hang on every word from these guys. They know what's going on. And General Chapman is fond of quoting a World War II general who said that 2/3 of all reports from the battlefield are fraudulent, inaccurate, or incomplete, something like that. And he's right, I'm sure. The fog of war is a real thing. But I want to assure everybody that I try to be as accurate as I can be. And I look at both Russian sources and Ukrainian sources for everything that I'm saying. Do I make mistakes? Sure, I make mistakes. I'm sure it's going to happen. And then there's not mistakes, but you can be unclear about things, and then the trolls attack you in the comments. I've said, for example, that frontline positions are collapsing. And the trolls have said they haven't even gotten to the first defensive line. Both those things are true, it turns out, right? There's the front line, the forward positions. And then there are 3 defensive barriers that the Russians have built over the last 8 months. And these are going to be, I guess, from everything that I see right now, The Ukrainian armed forces are about 10 kilometers from the first of those defensive lines in Zaporizhia. And that's going to be a challenge to surmount. But from what I see, they're going to be there before long. As of today, there's at least a double dozen settlements that the Ukrainians have liberated along that 600-mile stretch of front line. Something to the effect of 300 square kilometers. Square kilometer here, 60 kilometers there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so they are advancing. And you see these destroyed Leopards and Bradleys, and it's important to remember that in the Western weapons, the survivability of the crew is a major consideration in the design. And so the Ukrainians that were in those Leopards, they're still alive. The tank can be replaced. The tank crew cannot. And that's a big difference, boy, on the Ukrainian side than it is on the Russian side. When the Russians lose the tank, they lose the crew. Nobody's saying that this is going to be easy. But I assure you, from everything that I can see, the Ukrainians are advancing. They are advancing cautiously because everything is mined, but they are making progress. And the Russians, frankly, don't stand a chance. When I think of all the Russians that are going to die in this, the Putin is going to make the Ukrainians murder all these Russians. It's obscene. It's obscene. They don't stand a chance. And Ukraine is coming for them. And they haven't even deployed their major reserve forces yet. We have yet to see a Challenger tank on the battlefield. But they're coming. And when they do, they're going to slice those lines right up. Watch for them. You'll be able to spot them. They were given by England, and so you can tell the difference because they drive on the wrong side of the road.